Welcome to the Historic District monthly meeting. My name is Greg Winston. Start off by introducing
Jean Steiner.
Gail Carroll.
Bob Bradley.
Miranda DeWitt.
Barbara Dowd.
and David Spitz, our town planner. Thank you very much. I'd like to start with the first item on the, which we've been put off twice, and I just want to make sure, I think all of our members are aware of the historic inventory which we have to adopt. It's Article 50 from 2006. It's the update of the town historic inventory. And the Code of the Town of Harwich, number 131, Historic Preservation, Article 2, historically significant buildings. The Commission will confirm and adopt the compilation of an updated inventory registry of historically significant buildings, parcels maintained by the Historic District and the Historical District Commission. The list of 100-year-old prepared by Dupuy Associate Consulting dated December 2015. And I have a copy of it, and I know everyone's been emailed a copy of it. Basically, what we're doing is we're just updating the historic inventory, bringing it current to date. And this has been on an agenda, but I wanted to make sure, and we've gone at least 2 meetings, and I think the time has come to get a motion on the table to adopt the updated historic inventory that has been prepared for us. I will entertain a discussion or a motion.
I would move that we adopt the work as prepared.
Okay. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That's a great piece of business, and I'm so glad that it's taken care of. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, we can put that in our notebooks and refer to it as necessary. And every day we refer to more of it. It's interesting because tonight in front of us we have 2 articles that were identified here as well. All right. The next item on the agenda, reports and briefings. Is there anyone on the board that has anything that they'd like to bring forward at this time? Go ahead, Jean.
I've been away, so I don't have a full report on this, but I know that Ginny Hewitt at the library is working with the town on the next steps for the library selection of the architect and whether or not they can go ahead and use McKinley Calso. I always say that wrong. And I believe there's some sort of precedent that they can use that same group. And she's working with Bob Carafelli on that. And I don't know exactly where it stands right now, but I know that that's been going on.
That's what happens when you spend so much time in Greece. You don't
Like
know.
in a mode, right?
Okay, so
I will find out.
the Caslo is the original, the
Yes,
people we
yes,
originally
they
were
are.
working with in the library, correct? Okay. Anyone else? Anything?
Well, what is she looking for? Is she looking for a vote or what?
No, she's not looking for anything. I'm just telling you what I know. I've been copied on some emails, and I haven't had a chance, Bob, to speak with her since I got back. So I will make time to do that in the next couple of weeks, but I haven't had a chance yet.
That's
And Jean, the debate is whether they can use as the contractor the same company that prepared the report.
Right. And that did the initial assessment.
Okay, that's what I meant.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you very much. Okay, under old business, if there's nothing else, is there anything from the audience relative to reports and briefings? Okay, then we're all set. Under old business, we have 2 items on the agenda tonight. And we'll just take them in order if everybody's prepared to move forward. That is, tonight I have HH 201601, which is 19 Park Place. It's a final review of the details for the lifting of demolition delay demolition delay order, sorry. Do we have anyone representative? Yes.
Myself and William Kroll.
I know he's in the building. I walked in with him. also want to get the minutes adopted.
Yeah, we have quite a stack of them. I thought we had two on some of them.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Attorney William Crowell from Harwich Port, representing Christine Eldridge and her husband, William. Bill could not be here tonight. And Dale Nicula from Encore Construction was here last time, and he is away this week. So he submitted to you a letter dated May 31.
A letter of May 31.
And enclosed revised elevations,
I have it.
so you should all have that, hopefully.
Does everyone have that?
You can look on this. Here's the letter.
I have it. I've already looked at it.
You want to look around? Do you have it? Okay, basically what happened at the last meeting is we were working very closely with the applicant, the Eldridges, and they had come up with a set of plans that were closer, and we had a couple of requests, and basically they've, it looks as though provided us with a, on the cover is the actual existing property as it stands today, and then the letter, the proposed revised elevations, which include the pitch of the roof, which has been lowered, and we had some discussion about the attic louver, which was circular, and they've actually kind of incorporated that into the shadow of the roof line there, so that it doesn't make an architectural statement of its own, and it looks like we've pretty much accomplished what we had requested, but I'd entertain any discussion from the board.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, before you do that, just to point out that the board's action last time was to, the board voted 5-1 to lift the demolition delay, and we would come back today with revised plans to lower the roof pitch to approximately 6, and a different vent, which we've done, and a bracket detail. And the bracket detail is he's going to build exactly what was there, or is there now, for brackets. So he submitted, Dale Nicholas submitted a picture to the board.
So that's the reason for the picture on the cover?
That's
Yes.
the reason for this picture, is
Yes.
to show you that's the bracket that he's going to build, is exactly what's there.
Any questions or comments from any board members? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to go ahead and approve this structure. We have already lifted the demolition delay, so there's no reason to change that. I'll listen to any one of you for a motion. Basically, what we're doing is we want to approve what has been proposed in the elevation design here, and what Mr. Kroll just described is the eaves and the brackets as existing here, which would bring this property looking very similar to the existing structure, only a much more habitable inversion, maybe. Could I hear a motion to approve?
We're moving to approve the plan.
Yes, that's it.
I'll move to approve the plan.
Second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. I'll abstain. What was it, aye?
It's reluctant because I think it shouldn't be taken down. I don't know what my options are, so, I mean, do you need me for
No, I don't,
But can I abstain?
we have 1, 2, 3, 4, I can abstain, and you can still go and they can be approved.
Okay,
So you
well,
can- you
I'd
can-
like to
you can-
abstain.
Okay, that's fine.
So it's
So
4 to
it's-
0, was that it?
It's 2 abstentions.
Yes.
But approved.
4 to 0.
4 to
Yep,
0.
okay. All right, thank you.
And we thank you very much for cooperating.
Thank you. It looks
I
nice.
think you'll enjoy this. Took a little extra time, but you're gonna have a pretty house. All
You're
right.
welcome. I think that would be great.
That's gonna, that feels
All right, then moving right along, we'll go with HH 2016-03, which is 18 Ocean Avenue, which is a review of alternate plans for demolition delay.
By the way, Mr. Chairman, we did not, my client on 26 Ocean Avenue elected not to attend this hearing, so
Okay.
it's not on the agenda. This is,
Just, excuse me, Mr. Kroll, 26 Ocean Avenue, we're talking, or am I, we're talking 18?
that's why we are.
Yes,
I'm
okay.
telling you why 26 is not here tonight is
Okay.
because Mr. Spitz asked me if we would be here with 26, and the answer was no.
Okay, okay,
That you imposed a one-year demolition delay, and the client is not interested in working something out.
all right.
But this is Ezra Ambrose with me, who was here last time regarding the Adams property. And at 16 Ocean Ave, I'm going to get the plans out in front of me. And we were here,
Is it 18?
Is it 18?
It's 18.
I'm sorry, 18. I was looking at the abutter, sorry. 18 Ocean Avenue. We were here May 18th, and the board voted to impose a one-year demolition delay, but made the statement that they wanted, that the board wanted to, intended to maintain a dialogue, and wanted us to come back. So that's why we're here, is to see what the board is interested in, what the issues are, significant issues to the board, and Mr. Ambrose has made some modifications, which we'll go over with you in a moment, but I believe the main issues were streetscape and the height of the building. Mr. Doan pointed out he had an issue with the height of the building and that the dormer, with the dormers being too far forward.
And some of the trim detail.
And some of the trim detail.
Bradley.
Mr. Bradley was concerned about the trim detail, and there was talk about replication. We also talked about the cost of restoration versus the cost of demolition. I had made a point about it would be difficult to move this property because we had an engineer's report indicating how structurally unsound that it is. And Mr. Bradley made a comment about moving, I believe he said it was not relevant, but with all due respect, I think it is relevant, because if you impose the one-year demolition delay, as I understand it, it's to look into alternatives, one of which is moving the property to a different location to preserve the building, and the structural engineers put his license and his signature on his letter saying, as you have a copy of it, how that could be very risky and possible liability to the owner, the mover, the town, and possible damage to the abutting property. So moving does not seem to be a realistic alternative. So I'll let Mr. Ambrose discuss some of the modifications that he's made to the plan, and then you folks can let us know what you think.
Perfect. Go ahead, Mr. Ambrose.
Evening. lowered the building and the dormer height by a foot, leaving the second story. The first story at the same height, but kind of pushed down the whole ridge of the building, and the dormer wall height from a 7/6 wall to a 6/6 wall on the outside of the building on the second floor. We've turned down the front gable to give it to replicate the look that's there, and also with the simple flying rake detail that exists on the building now would be replicated in the front, along with a facsimile of the screened-in porch at the same scale of 10 feet, and the 2 windows to the left that exist now. We've also, it's hard to get to 11 by 17 to do it.
That's fine.
We pulled this in about a foot and extended the front gable about a foot with a deep set of flying rakes to kind of give it a pushback look. Mr. Doan and the board was concerned with some of that detail. So basically we're going to replicate a lot of the trim details and the lines that exist. It already has a dormer. Obviously we're going to add another dormer and fully extend the other one to get a full upstairs, or 2/3 of an upstairs.
Any questions for the board members? I will start with Gene Steiner.
Well, I like the replication on the front of the screen porch with the 2 windows. I think that's a nice feature. I have not had a chance to walk around it. I drove by it yesterday, and it has a lot of charm as a house in that neighborhood. And so I think anything that is done to keep it within the scale from a streetscape perspective is desirable, obviously.
Just
These are all-
My 2 cents on the appearance is that I think they've done a good job last time and even better this time in replicating the street appearance of the property in comparison to what it looks like now. I think it looks very similar to, the new building would look very similar to what's there now.
Gail?
You know where my heart is.
I know where your heart is.
But I do think from the drawings, it appears to keep the character of the area. I honestly can't tell by heights and so forth, but I know Mr. Bradley and Mr.
About a 3/6 to 3 foot
I think that
increase in ridge height.
I think that both Bob Bradley and Bob Doan gave them some good guidance relative to the scale and the changes that have been made are much closer to the original structure. These properties, as each board member knows, are unique in so many different ways. But for today's living, it's difficult sometimes to adopt or adapt to the size of the lot and the streetscape and create a space that someone can live in. And we were actually
Switch the front elevation to shingles to match what's there today. So instead of like a kind of a gaudy Greek revival, it's more of a poor man's Greek revival. What I would say would be in kind of keeping with that.
Mr. Bradley?
I don't have anything.
Nothing further to add?
Well, it's always a question of the dormers.
That was approved.
I'll say it's an improvement. I'm not gonna say anything.
All right, Miranda?
I think the appearance is an improvement. I understand that people feel that small houses aren't livable, but I regret the loss to the street front, in that we've got a much taller building.
Pat, have you had a chance to look at this and catch up, or we want?
I'm going to pass for right now.
Okay, Barbara?
I like the streetscape very much. It's it looks just like the old house. I too love the old house very much. Are you going to be using anything, any woods or anything from it that are usable
If it
to
is
incorporate?
usable, I mean, but I don't want to make a false promise, but the replication of the sizing and the detail and the scale of the building, that'll be more a concern.
Mhm.
And if we can use some of the floorboards and recreate maybe some furniture for the house, or do some kind of detail inside the house with the wood, I think, you know,
Mhm.
can't speak totally for the homeowner, but we would do that
Yeah.
as a company.
That'd be great if you could
A
do
piece
that.
of it survives.
Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Yes.
Mr. and Mrs. Adams, Russell and Pamela Adams, are here this evening, seated in the rear of the room. And they came all the way from Oklahoma yesterday to be here for this meeting, and they're leaving tomorrow. So they would like to accomplish as much as we can accomplish today. And Mr. Adams' mother is seated behind him in the wheelchair, and she wanted to be at the hearing, and I think she wanted to say something to the board.
I believe it was Mr. Adams who just put his hand up, is that correct?
Yeah, I was gonna answer your question.
Go ahead.
Step up to the mic, Russ, right there.
I was gonna answer your question about using materials from the old house. There are some doors inside that we plan to reuse as, like sliding doors, like a barn-type door inside, and things like that. So we've got, it's all in storage right now, some of these items.
Great. That sounds great.
Excellent. That answers Barbara's question.
I'm 90 years old. I have been down on the Cape for the last over 60 years in the same cottage, and I cannot understand what is holding up the works. We have lived in it all of this time. We have gone along all of this time, and you people just aren't moving fast enough for me. I'd like to be able to come down and see it when it is completed, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make it, unless you vote for me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was Mrs. Adams? Any discussion from the board? Any comments from the audience?
Ken Miller, 12 Ocean Avenue. I do have a quick comment. Something that some of the board members said at the last meeting, I drove 2 hours back home thinking about it. And it was basically a comment about how we all love that neighborhood, and we all do, and how you'd hate to see any of these houses. Everybody loves those houses. I called Mr. Spitz up, emailed Mr. Spitz the next day after that meeting, and asked whether there was one email, one telephone call, one correspondence that came in from anybody in the community opposing the demolition of those houses. And the answer was no. This is last week's Harwich Chronicle. There's a easement issue on Shore Road going on right now between the town as far as the width of the easement to the beach. In 2 days, 45 people have emailed the town clerk opposing the situation. So my only question would be is that these poor property owners just want to do things to their homes. I understand your charge, but I don't know that you might be overreaching what the sentiment of the community is. And certainly in the campground area, we had a Memorial Day picnic. There was over 40 property owners there. Everybody was in favor of what's going on. So just for the record.
Yes, ma'am.
Kathleen Hamilton Welch. We have been on, we're abutters to 26 Ocean, which is, I thought was going to be on the agenda tonight, but as it turns out, it's not. We've been to every single historical commission meeting. We've been to health, whatever the other one is, zoning variance board, blah, blah, blah. And there are opposition to what they're going to do to 26 Ocean. So when you say that there's no opposition to this, that is incorrect. I also wonder how many of the people in the Grove know what is going on. You look at the place that's the corner of Park Place in Ocean, that's really nice. It's at least looks like the cottage that was there. The stuff that's across from 48 Ocean, which was that horrid old motel, it's nice, but it looks like Southie, like South Boston. And that is what I envision. If you pass all these variances, this number 26 is going from something like a 12 or 15-foot height of the building, and it's going to be 26 or 27 feet high. I mean, and you talk about streetscape, how does that fit in the streetscape? I realize I'm probably out of line talking about this other property, but, I mean, anyway, it's just a really emotional subject. I just wanted to say that there have been opposition to this. It is not across the board that everybody is really, wants to really redo the whole grove or the campground.
I thank you very much for your input. Amanda?
Miranda?
Did I say Miranda? Well, whatever.
It's okay.
I'm very sorry.
It's okay, it doesn't.
Miranda.
I think that in this town, the bylaws require that you have full approval, or at least, majority approval of an area for a historic district. But it's pretty clear that there is, we don't like taking property rights away from people in this country, but there is precedence. There is legal precedence that says that police power can be used in order to protect historic structures, environment, as well as natural environment. And I just want to say, for your purposes, you're lucky that you live here where you need a majority approval.
Thank you. Any other comments from any board members? Okay, yes, Mrs. Adams, is that correct? Am I correct?
Yes. My name's Pam Adams, and one of the things is my husband and I both retired now, okay? Because I used to be a teacher and I just retired. And one of our goals was to come down to the cottage, okay? And I can't go to the cottage because the shower's outside. And it's too cold to take a shower, and and our goal was to be here in the fall because it's beautiful on the Cape. And that's what we want to do. And right now, the only month we can come is July because my allergies started acting up because we tried June and I got real sick and everything. Because we don't have any heat or air in the the cottage either. And plus, so to me, it's giving us, a cottage as it is now. I can spend 1 month there maybe, and then that's it, which is kind of sad because it's beautiful. We love coming down there, but, with my allergies and also just no inside shower. It's outside. So, okay.
Thank you. Any other comments? I come back to you, Pat, if you're interested in commenting at all.
No, not.
You're okay?
Yeah.
Okay. The general consensus is, for those of you who were not here at any of the previous hearings, we were, with the help of Mr. Spitz, our town planner, with whom I regretfully announce that we'll be retiring as of July 7th. He seems to be happy about it, but I'm not. I'll tell you, I've talked to a lot of people around town in the last day or two, and there are a lot of people that have a lot of respect for what's been accomplished by Mr. Spitz in this town during his tenure as town planner. And
this will not be in the minutes.
What we've tried to accomplish is to represent the people of the town of Harwich as your Historic District Commission, and we understand that not every property is salvageable when it comes to trying to put a property in perspective for modern use that was really built as nothing but a camp, cottage, or a tent. So it's, I think every member of the board understands that. I just think that we're really happy when people come forward with adaptations of something that comes close to a streetscape that, and not every member of the board is in agreement here, don't get me wrong. We have some purists, and we have purists for reasons, and that works for everyone. So I'm not representing the board when I say this, but I do say this to the townspeople because I think it's important that they understand that it's a lot of work that this board goes through, agonizing and debating some of these structures. And I think everyone will agree that prior to the 100-year inventory in Ocean Grove, there have been some horrible structures that have come up, risen out of the ashes of some pretty uniquely old structures. So I think, once again, Miranda's done an awful lot of work identifying some of the historic properties, and this particular district has really become a concern of ours. It has for a long, long time, so much so that we've actually, board members that have come on board just for this specific reason, to protect some of these historic cottages in Ocean Grove. And on that subject, that's as much as I have to say. I'll entertain a motion.
May I make
Go ahead,
some
Mr.
final
Crowell.
comments? Just to get back to this specific project, because I appreciate the generalities, the emotions, the idealism, and all that, but it seems to me just that, as I said, that this replicates the streetscape appearance significantly, and Mr. Ambrose has made some adaptations, lowered the height, worked on the trim detail, moved the dormers somewhat. So we've tried to work with the concerns of the board that were presented to us at the previous hearing, and we're hoping that the board can see its way to lifting the demolition delay and approving these plans, because if you compare it to what was presented for 26 Ocean Avenue, and my client is inclined to wait out the one-year demolition delay and then build what was presented, which doesn't look like what is there now. This looks a lot like what's there now. I think it's, if we're working together, this is a pretty good compromise in terms of allowing us to demolish, but coming out with something that replicates the existing dwelling to a significant degree. So I'm hoping that the board would see its way to approving the plans and lifting the one-year demolition delay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kroll. Members of the board, any comments further? Then I'll entertain a motion from any member. The motion would be to allow for the demolition of this particular structure in favor of the new elevation that's been provided to us, the most recent elevation to be identified, and we'll identify it according to the Ambrose plan of 11, well, this one says 11/23, I don't
I
think
think
that's
it has
what
a
we want.
revised date on it. I don't know the
Yeah,
scale.
no, it's not, we have to get, we just want to get the correct revised date for the record before we,
Oh, it's there.
Yeah, I don't have any of this.
It's here, June 15th.
June 15th,
Down below is
6:15, I see
6:15.
that.
6:15.
See?
Yeah.
See that, Barbara? 6:15, 17?
Mm-hmm, we got it.
Okay, so therefore, before you is the question, the motion to either lift the demolition delay bylaw that was invoked, that's the motion that the applicants are looking for. Otherwise, the alternative would be to hold on to the demolition delay. And I'll entertain a motion. Any member?
I'll move.
Yes, Jean?
I so move that we lift the demolition delay on this property of 18 Ocean Avenue, and to allow for the rebuilding according to the plans of 6/15/17. And I would just like to comment, thank you for your cooperation and for your perception of how this should look, because I think it's a great
So we
compromise.
want the board to come back and look at the building and say, you know, that's something they're proud of too, so.
And a reminder that Ambrose Homes has constructed 3 or 4 properties in the campgrounds. They have a good track record, I
And
would say.
we're responsible for all the details in-house. We don't really farm out a lot of that work, so.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Second it, Barbara? All right, a vote? All those in favor of lifting the demolition delay?
Aye.
Aye.
That's 1, 2, Bob?
No.
No?
Abstain.
Abstain? Aye. Aye. Looks like the ayes carry.
Four.
Yep, I'll abstain.
So
But I-
it's
once
4-0 also,
Correct.
and 2 abstentions.
Well, I've got one abstention. I thought I might have had no's, so I need to know if you were no or abstentions.
We have 2 abstentions.
I didn't abstain, I said no.
Okay.
Oh, you said no.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got 1 no, 1
I abstained, I don't agree, but.
Okay, so
maybe
4 to
it's-
1 with 2 abstentions.
Therefore, the motion carries, and the demolition delay will be lifted.
Thank you.
Once again, I thank you for your cooperation.
Thank you also.
And I need a copy of this plan.
Right here.
There seem to be numerous
That's the same one?
of these.
I
Yeah,
think
there's
everybody
quite a
got,
few.
get us extra
No.
copies.
I didn't come in the copies.
After, we don't need a copy
We only
after this,
did,
except
No.
for what's in the file.
Yeah, and take these too.
That's that?
We did this
All right,
time.
I just wanted to.
I'm sorry, we
to
did
make it
19 Park.
clear
It's all-
to other
it's all-
board members,
it's all
because I
accepted.
found that I was becoming inundated with plans, copies, and so forth and so on. Once these
Yeah, I
cases
abstained,
have
but I don't know
passed,
what the difference between
we have the documentation that we need in the yellow folders, so there's a lot of stuff, for instance, that we can get rid of. So, like, for instance, all of
Yeah, you
this.
guys don't have to keep
We
it.
can get rid of all of this. We can get rid of all of this. We can make our files
I don't
much
think that's a
smaller.
significant, I mean, I don't wish
This
that
is
number
from
19
Clark.
wasn't.
He lowered that roof thing, which is nice. It's nice.
This is the original.
No, this is the,
The new one?
this is
I think
the,
you had
You hate
two.
it all?
the original one has,
I did have it. Oh, here it is. There it is, yeah.
Weeping
Oh, my God.
that's,
scene
that's the new
just
one.
drives me out of my mind. I just really get.
I think it looks nice. And they're gonna do all the corbels, just like they have up here.
That's not what we're talking about.
I'm glad they did this, because this is very nice.
And he said 18, 26, they're gonna wait out the delay.
I'm sorry?
26, they're gonna wait out the wood one, they're gonna wait out the delay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no solution.
It should be clear that when they.
The solution would be that they couldn't,
So are we holding on to this,
the solution
from
would
what
be that they could
Ms.
only do
Hans,
something.
Buying the building
Mr.
for
Kroll
what they
said, this,
buying the building for what they can do.
this particular parcel here, which is
Maybe you could,
the cottage or the, whatever
The demolition delay remains.
remains in effect and carries, and evidently these people are not interested in working with the board. So, in that case, I guess I'm not, it's not necessary that I hold on to this either.
yes, yes, Susan,
Okay.
yeah.
We cleaned up a lot of, work. I want to thank every board member for their participation in these particular cases.
Okay.
So he knows what he's appealing to.
Yeah, but they
I get to
started,
keep the hardware, though.
oh, the clips.
Can you hear me? Okay.
I'm so tired
Um,
of it, I can't.
The item on the agenda, we put off twice because we've had such lengthy meetings, but we all have had copies of the minutes going back quite some time. And once again, I have to compliment Mr. Spitz because no one has ever moved this thing forward the way it's been moved forward in the last few months. I believe that we're almost current with our minutes now. As soon as we adopt these June 17th, August 19th, September 2nd, September 16th, February 17th, and March 18th. And I have all of these, and I have reviewed them. And I haven't seen anything that I needed to correct, but I will ask any board members for any corrections.
Are we talking also about February 17th?
Yes, it's on the list, February 17th, yes.
And it's just really, really minor. On page, what would it be, 1, 2, 3, 4? If multiple housing were to be built, it may diminish the integrity rather than intensity.
I gotta catch up to you, because the pages aren't numbered. So,
Yeah,
I apologize.
This is February 17th, is
I got
that?
February 17th. Now just get me closer, Brian.
page 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, middle of the page, just a little below the middle of the page.
2, 3,
Sally
4.
Urbano.
Sally Urbano, got it?
And then it just says if multiple housings were to be built, it may diminish the integrity of Captain's Row.
Oh,
I mean, I wasn't there, but it just doesn't seem I thought she would say intensity.
I will make that change.
That's
I like the word integrity better.
It's a good word.
Any other corrections? Hearing none, put the matter to a vote. We can clear this up quickly, taking it all as one. So we'll be voting on all of the minutes as I listed earlier. That would be the minutes of June 17th, August 19th, September 2nd, September 16th, February 17th, March.
Okay, can we stop at September 16th, because I have to abstain for the rest since I wasn't here.
You
But-
don't. According to the law, you do not.
You can,
Oh, I don't?
if
Nope.
you're a member of the commission, you can vote on minutes.
Am I
for the
good?
As long as you, yep, as long as you're updated,
I'm
yep.
good.
We're
Okay.
good. We're good. Okay, do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as read.
Thank
All
you.
the minutes as read.
Second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Who was the second?
Me.
Gail Carroll.
And Greg, unfortunately, there are minutes more than a year and a half ago that you're still missing.
I know.
But I ain't helping you with those.
Thank you. We appreciate what you've done. Just to bring the board up to date, for your information, I've already announced Mr. Spitz's retirement, for which I'm very happy for him. I'm not very happy for us. But in the interim, I also thought it'd be interesting for the board to know that we will be working with the Assistant Town Administrator, Charlene Greeno, who was a Assistant Town Planner here in the town of Harwich before this. And I welcome her input. However, it's definitely not going to be advantageous to this board, because she's going to be sharing this position with the job that she currently has. And we've had some issues in the town hall with the clerks, and we have no clerk. And as a result of that, Mr. Spitz has been doing it all. And as of this meeting, there will be no longer Mr. Spitz, and therefore we will have no clerk. And there's some clarifications that I would like to make, but I think it's important the board understand going forward that the road is going to get rougher for us. We've done an excellent job, and I thank each and every one of you for the work that you've done moving forward. Some criticism has been received over the course of this past week that was a little painful, and I just want the town to understand that moving forward, it's going to be even more difficult to accomplish what we need to accomplish without the assistance of our town planner. And we will not have a new town planner. I don't even believe it's been advertised yet. I think I spoke to Charlene. It hasn't even been advertised yet. So it's going to make it difficult.
Greg, let me, before you go on to the rest of it, what I've been recommending, and it hasn't come to pass yet, we have several of our, what would they call it now, administrative assistants covering boards. Right now, we don't have one covering historic, and we're still trying to get that to be done. We used to have the zoning board covered by a separate clerk, and we found that it works much more efficiently if somebody in-house is covering that, and Shayla Delaney is doing that. And two of the clerks are covering several meetings, but some of the more long-standing clerks by union were allowed not to cover the evening meetings, and they've chosen not to. So we're still working on trying to get that. I feel that any of the regulatory boards should have clerk coverage. That includes the zoning board, that includes your board, and several others. And I'm recommending that you be covered for one meeting a month. So that wouldn't cover any work sessions. You'd have to take care of your own minutes then. But, you know, in any remaining time I have, I will continue to try to work on getting you that one per month.
Thank you. We appreciate that. I just wanted to update board members. That was my point. And once again, to recognize David for the great work he's done. Not just the work that he's done for historic, but beyond historic. And I know what it's like sometimes when people feel as though, when it comes to retirement, that you didn't accomplish everything that you wanted to accomplish. But in this particular state, I think that David's done an awful lot of wonderful things for the town, and I wanted personally to recognize him, and you all, if you choose to do so, joining me to do that at this time.
Here.
Okay. All right. I thank you again.
Don't forget Mr. Monahan.
Oh, is that okay? Now this isn't on the.
No, but I wanted you,
yeah.
I wanted to just get a sense of how.
Let me
it
just
works.
let me just give you a brief. This is business that is in the office, it needs to be brought to the table, and more than likely could be put to rest tonight, but it may not even wait until another meeting. There's a barn behind Monahan Jewelers in Harwich Port, which is right next to the TD Bank. And it's basically an abandoned barn. I have looked at it, and not only is it's dangerously precarious, but I personally haven't seen anything about it that is significantly architecturally representative of something that, you know, I think our board would be concerned with, but that's just my opinion. I don't know if Miranda's looked at it, but the roof is sagging, and I believe the building commissioner at any point in time could actually, you know, condemn it, yeah.
Yeah, I asked him if he would condemn it, and he's reluctant to condemn unless there's,
Action.
Just like the building's falling down, if it's just like it's falling in
And it's
and not
literally-
gonna affect anybody, he won't condemn it. But, you know, what this guy is seeking is to be allowed to tear down a building that's over 100 years old.
That's
So
right.
I just need to know what your procedure for responding to that.
So the question is, I'm gonna put this one out to Miranda to start with, because I don't know that we've actually had a situation like this. We've certainly had a number of applicants who have allowed their properties to become into this kind of condition. If you take a look at this particular property, I think that it's apparent, at least it seems apparent to me, that it hasn't been used in a while. Obviously, it's not been maintained properly, but that is the case. And I personally can't tell you how the law reads relative to demolition, but I do know that if it becomes a health hazard, the building commissioner does have the right to condemn it. Basically meaning that no one can enter the building. And at this particular time, I don't feel comfortable advising the board which way to move, because number one, you don't have any photographs of this particular property. Number two, you don't have an application for demolition of this particular property. So I would suggest that when each of our members have a chance to look at this particular property, take a glance, any feedback could be emailed into the planning department office. And in the meantime, the building commissioner can take the path that he feels correct in doing, which may be to just condemn it. And then we'll have to have an application from the owner to move forward with a demolition if the board so feels.
It's not used for anything, right? It's just.
As far as I know, it's not.
There's a bunch of stuff in there.
Is there, you know?
So if it falls down, something's gonna hold it up.
It used to be, wasn't that part of the lumberyard that we, I mean.
Well, it
didn't
used to
they
be an
have
old hardware store.
Yeah, a hardware store, but they had lumber and that.
Watson
Yes.
B.
Waddy B.
Waddy B's, yeah. We remember that. Miranda.
I believe that, now I didn't review this, it's in Macris, well, at least that part of Route 28 is in Macris, and I'll check it and see if they've identified that there's anything significant about it. I think that, I remember reading in the report, this is the, I can't remember her name now, the 1990s survey.
Oh, I know.
About the lumberyard in town. So,
Interestingly enough, that particular property was right across the street from C Street, and C Street was a commercial district. That was where the old wharf was, the old coal yard. There was also a lumber yard down on C Street and so forth and so on. It's all part of the old history, the old packet boats that went back and forth from
so that's
the
significant,
city.
huh?
So,
Significant.
so I mean, there could be something in there that we need to know about. So, I'm interested in your feedback, but I think I'm giving you the best guidance I can.
Like the roof was
Yeah, it's just
caving
literally.
in, So that if
Yeah.
that's happening, you'd have to think that all the storms are damaging whatever is left of the building, I would think.
I would think
I
so.
don't know how long it's been like that.
Far off the road, I mean, it's behind
It's not really a
The
streetscape.
The building that's significant
is
is
the
what's
front
in
building.
use right now,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So, any other comments? I think the general consensus would be that we should have a proper application for demolition, and we could move forward that way. That way we can get the necessary information. We can allow each and every board member to assess, and Miranda do a little history and check, make sure that we're not losing something that we don't know about. that George Washington didn't stop there and have dinner, as Bill Kroll would say.
I used to buy my comic books in the.
I bought my first Playboy with him.
Geez,
Okay,
too much information.
that's enough. Anything else under new business? Okay. Therefore, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Once again, David, thank you for